Was your dad the world's greatest dad? Did you have a deadbeat dad or something worse? Well, either way, no dad is perfect. And it leaves us with scars and it leaves us with wounds. So we're going to get into this video on how you can recover from those wounds. So let's get into it right now. What's up, congratulators, or welcome back. I'm Xavier Garcia, and this is the Ultimate Psychology channel. And whether you're new here or not, I'm going to create tons of videos to cure all your life. So what do we get into in this video? Daddy issues, right? We all got them to one degree or another because nobody's perfect. No father is perfect except for our Heavenly Father. So there's always going to be a gap in our self-confidence, our self-esteem, our identity, the way we approach and engage in our relationships, the way we interact with the world and jobs, or just how we see ourselves as human beings and people, as persons. As a side note, I am a father. I'm a stepfather, and it's a role that I cherish and I take honor and pride in it. I see my stepdaughter going through these configurations of trying to figure out, these dynamics and these roles between her biological father, myself, and her biological father. So I can see the implications further down the road if she doesn't get this right, if we don't help her with being a happy, healthy, whole child of God as our goal. And some people see that there's a difference, seem to think that there's a difference between a biological father and a step parent, and it doesn't have to be a difference. I believe that God gave me her first. Obviously, she's in my life first before any biological children. So I believe that as a family of God, she is my first child, inherently. So, I had that telephone relationship with my father, my dad, and he just taught me everything that I know and that I knew at the time. And so he raised me basically like that. And every summer I'd go visit him. And if he was alive to this day, he would have been the best man at my wedding. Fortunately, my brother stepped in and filled those shoes, filled them well, great. And so, that was my relationship with my father. My sisters had their experiences with him. And it wasn't that he was a bad person. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just doing what he knew how, because he didn't have a functional relationship or successful relationship with his father. And he was just a man. He was a man's man. He did what manly men do. And so it wasn't no fault of his own. Just he was operating out of what came naturally to him. And so when it came to like my mom, he would say like, you take care of our daughter and I'll take care of our son, psychologically and emotionally. Obviously I live with my mom. And so, but he took care of me, put most of his focus because that was his strength. He didn't know how to deal with girls. And so I saw that as not as a weakness. I just saw that's just not the way he was built. That's the way he was constructed. Fortunately my sister didn't see it that way. And I don't blame him for that. But, a lot of women everywhere, a lot of men everywhere, we experience these daddy issues, whether it be small, minor or major, whether it be men and for women too. There's slight differences between the sexes, but as men, if we don't have that father figure, we can overcompensate and become hyper masculine because we try to take on the most, it's natural to find role models, but if we look towards movies, we can over exaggerate what we think a man is, and not, there's that on that end, or we can totally reject the man and be totally like the mother, just totally feminine. Women, they have their experiences as well, and there's a plethora of experiences, whether it's seeking validation, not being, not knowing their purpose and their role and how to be treated, because as kids, we look at our parents as our primary role models, and if they don't have, the perfect example, and no example is perfect, then it's hard to follow that template. So we don't know how to act out in our day-to-day lives and how to grow into those roles when we become adults. So the point is we're all on a journey towards becoming a whole person, our ultimate self, right? And if you feel that your particular hang-up on becoming your fullest, greatest version is your relationship or lack thereof with your father, then these are going to be 3 steps that you can take to reconcile that, and so that you can move forward in your life. All right, so the first step that we're going to take is to honor our parents. It says so right there in the Bible. It's one of the 10 Commandments is to honor our parents. And that's a big deal. So if you had a crazy relationship with your father, your dad, and you're like, you know, how you want me to honor my parents? Don't you know what they've done to me or what they never provided for me? You want me to honor them? So what does exactly honor mean, right? Well, you do have to take a step of maturity here, and you have to honor your parents. And basically what that means, the best definition that I've come across recently, is that it means to don't make them look bad. If you're going on your life, oh yeah, that jerk did this, or he didn't do none of that, and he was da-da-da-da, yeah, you're putting down, and all the things you can be saying is factual. There's nothing wrong with sharing the facts if we're presenting a particular story or situation. But if you're going to berate them and put them down, obviously you're not being mature about it, because you're putting them down and you're just making yourself look bad, and at the same time putting themselves down. It's just like, it's biting the hand that feeds you. And obviously, well, X, man, they didn't give me no food. How they put no dinner on my table? But you're still putting down where you come from, your source of life, where you come from. You always want to have that honored. You want to be thankful and grateful, at least for that they gave you that. Whether you call them a sperm donor or whatever, the fact is that you're here, and you have a chance at life. And this is a miracle. The fact that you're here, you have the opportunity to heal yourself and grow and make a contribution to life and make the world a better place. You have to give thanks. You have to give back for that. So honor your father, because either way, if you don't, I mean, you just look like a punk. You look immature. And if you're not immature because you say you didn't have a dad, well, I get that. But it's time to grow up, to man up, or woman up, and realize that they're no longer part of your life, and then you can separate yourself from them, you know, psychologically, whether location. So this gets into our second step, forgiveness, right? You've grown past this. I mean, obviously, if you could be living with them still, but most likely you're probably an adult and you're living on your own and you're going through issues, unless you're a teenager and of course you're living at home or somewhere with them or with or without them. But we want to forgive our parents. And what does that mean? It's one of the hardest things. It's like, does that mean that we say that it's okay that they've done to us what they did to us? No, or what they didn't do for us? No, it doesn't mean that we say that it's okay. But what we are saying that what's okay is that it's okay for us to move on, whether we have those wounds or not, those bruises or not, those emotional, psychological wounds. We have to move on it, because otherwise that emotion stays upon us and we can't move forward with our lives, and we can't fully express our fullest selves because it's holding us back. And we want to be able to move forward from that shame, that guilt, that hatred, that whatever it is that you associate to the experience that you've had with your dad. So forgiving means, and whether you have the chance or the opportunity to tell them you forgive them, you know, you can just say it in your heart. And forgiveness basically means, if you break the word down, it means forgiving. I'm for giving my father the love and respect that he deserves, just from the sense of honoring them. When you can go to that strength, the place in your heart that you can forgive somebody, you've cleared yourself, you've lifted it off your chest, and you put that in his court. And now he has to respond. Whether he responds accordingly or not, it means nothing to you. You know, it's like no problem. That's his problem, and you've freed yourself. You're forgiving. You know, it says, you know, love your enemies even when they hurt you. Because if you don't and you stay miserable, you're getting doubly hurt. And now you're doubly hurt because you experienced, you know, that stuff as a victim, and then you're carrying it around with you, and it's just inflicting more pain because you keep maybe reliving those same experiences, and you're holding it against them, and you're putting more of that negative vibe out there. Instead, you're putting hate back into the world, you know, instead of love. And of course, you want that karmic justice. You know, it's like they fed hate into you, and you know, you maybe want to give it back, but you don't do that with hate. You change it and you put it into love. It's right. It's like turning lemons into lemon. Of course, it's way easier said than done, but you have to find a way to do this for you to be your ultimate self. But you have to be able to forgive them. You have to be forgiving love at all times, because we want to live with the open heart. We want to love with freedom, because this is like our greatest you know, spiritual self and way of being. So we can't let anything hold us back for that or cause any blocks or blockage. And this forgiveness is going to be the part that really heals you, because the thing is you don't want to have any regrets left in your life. I know when my dad passed away, and I knew he was sick for a while, and all of a sudden he got extra sick. But before, he was sick for 10 years. He had some back situations, on dialysis, and he would go in and out of coma, several times. And every time he went, I thought he was going to die. I thought that's the time when he was going to pass. And I was so stressed out for for 10 years, a decade. And I remember telling him one time, like, Dad, man, I've been stressed out this whole time. I thought you were going to go. And he's like, I ain't going nowhere, Holmes. And I'm like, a year and a half later, he did pass. But I was like, since I was tripping and stressing out the whole time, I said, you know what? Just in case this next time you're going to leave me, I want to make my peace. At least those are the things that I was thinking. And so I had the conversations that I always wanted to have with him, just because I was taking day-to-day life for granted. Talk to him, say hi, we just talk about stuff, share life's experiences. But I never really said that, hey, if I never really told you, Dad, that I love you and I don't ever get to see you again, I want to thank you for all that you've given me. And you can do this too with whatever situation you're in. It takes a lot of maturity here. It takes a lot of strength of character. But you can do it, and you have to do it if you want to heal. And so you don't want to have any regrets. That way, because when they're gone, you're not going to have that chance. You're not going to have that opportunity. If they are gone already and they're not in your life anymore, then you can go through this process in your heart, in your mind, in your head, and have this conversation with him and with that person, and go through the process and go through that dialogue that you would have to release them and forgive them, so you can really heal and be your whole self. So I want to respect you and your experience, your situation, your circumstances, but you're not a victim of those circumstances anymore. You were a victim in those moments, and that trauma can last you for a little while, but you're not a victim anymore, because you must say so. That was then, this is now, and I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to move forward. And so release yourself from that victimhood, that victim mentality. I mean, if you're an adult, again, you're going to outlive your parents. God willing, that's usually the natural cycle of things. So you can come to your father, anyone, when it comes to this forgiveness technique, but especially your parents, because we live longer than them, according to this natural cycle. And we're going to be burying them. We're going to be putting them in their grave. We're going to be taking care of them at the end of their lives. So it's time for us to grow up. You're not the victim anymore just because you say so. You need to make that identity shift. And it can be troublesome. You can be used to it. You don't know who you are as a free man or a free person, a free woman. But you need to free yourself from this bondage so that you can live a free life. So this leads us into our third step here. And that's maturity, right? Growing up, being responsible, and taking responsibility, taking action for the quality of your relationships. So you have to pursue this relationship, this growth journey of yours, to come full circle, so that you can be the whole person that you desire to be, a fully functioning, adult, a fully functioning person. So like I'm saying, take responsibility for your growth and your relationships. Realize that your inadequacies are yours, not necessarily things that because he did for you or he didn't do for you. The thing is we all come into this life, and we all have our personal success stories to go through. And even if we grow up in great families, they can give everything you on a silver platter, but there's going to still be a place for you if you want to be like a fully integrated person with an authentic soul. You have to have your own challenges to face in life. So even if Daddy has all the money, that's a challenge in itself. How can you find your own identity outside of your father, outside of your dad? Or if your dad wasn't there, how do you find your own masculinity or your own identity as a person without that figure to compare yourself with? So that takes a lot of maturity. So whether you have the greatest father or not, you would still have challenges of your own. And so you have to realize that and stop blaming it on your dad. And blaming is one of the biggest parts, and this probably goes back to the forgiveness part, but blaming is what's going to hold us back. And we all have challenges in our life, and we're looking for a reason why life is so hard. It just is. So quit trying to blame somebody else for your inadequacies, for your shortcomings, because we all have life is a self-improvement project, and we all start at -0. So don't be too hard on one person, and they may have given you challenges that set you back even more, but if it wasn't them, it would have been someone else or something else. So see that objectively, put it to the side, and then work on it, because obviously this is like your package or your opportunity to grow from, that's going to create you and define you as a person, as a success in life. So don't wait till the end of your life or the end of their life to be at peace and to resolve this conflict with this daddy issue, this father wound. Identify what they did for you or what they didn't for you. Like if they didn't tell you, hey son, good job there, you did great. Or mija, you look so beautiful today. Mija's daughter in Mexican Spanish and Mexican. And because the thing is, oh, my dad never told me that I was smart, or he told me that I was dumb, he told me that I was stupid. Well, here's the thing. What adults do, I don't mean to patronize you, but what adults do is we give that to ourselves. We recognize, you know what, I can do it. I did a great job there. Oh man, I'm looking fly today. Us as adults, we give ourselves these compliments. We don't need the world to validate us. So once we learn that that's what the dynamic is us giving ourselves the esteem, us giving ourselves the respect and ourselves the love, not getting it from our wives, from our children, from our coworkers or our bosses at work, or anybody else, that we give it to ourselves first, and that with or without anybody else's approval, we can approve of ourselves, then you're set, and then you'll be legit. So when you can release them from anybody, but especially that father figure, because it's huge and it's very instrumental in our growing up, because this is our source of life, and we automatically know that. That's why we want to honor it. But it's such a huge factor but just like any factor, it can be humongous to us, whatever that is for you. This is just your dynamic. This is just the way you've packaged your world problem, and you want to go out there and conquer and save the world. And what that means to you, your world, is your daddy issue. Take responsibility and see it for what it is, objectively. Do the forgiving, and you'll find that peace in your heart. Give yourself a new identity, whether it be a child of God, that you're a dedicated father, unlike your other father, or just like your old man, or that you're a princess of the Most High, and begin acting accordingly. So that way you can free yourself and give yourself a new vision for your future and what you can become and what you can grow into. So remember, God loves you, and I'm Xavier Garcia. This is the Ultimate Psychology Channel. Please like and subscribe, share this with a friend, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, love with freedom. Thank you very much.